Hi guys, and welcome back to another day of Artvent. We have made it to the middle mark, to the half point of Artvent, and today we're gonna sketch something. The thing is, I think I use sketch and draw simultaneously, so don't be confused. We will be drawing a cute little baby raccoon today, and in the meantime, my god, you wouldn't believe that I actually study English. What is this? But yeah, we'll be doing a little cute drawing in my sketchbook, and in the meantime you'll be listening to me yet again. And yeah, I guess I'm gonna use this video as the perfect opportunity to talk about my long obsession with animals ever since I was a little kid. So yeah, in general, one day I will reveal this entire sketchbook, but both when it comes to watercolor and these sketches, you will find that majority of them are animals, because on one hand I just like animals, and also I don't know why, but for me they're easier to draw. I try to do human faces, which I will practice it in the future again, but it just never turns out as great. Maybe it's because the human face is so very complicated, but yeah. And besides that, I remember when I was, I think probably honestly from infancy, I loved animals. I loved being outside. I loved nature, flowers, greenery, just being outside. I loved it so much, and I loved animals, and I loved going to the zoo, and I watched all of the series. I think there was one called Go Wild or whatever, and anything that had to do with animals. And in primary school, I remember whenever we had to pick books from the library, I know I went straight ahead to the animal books and lexicons, right? And to imagine how can a child find lexicons interesting, but I loved it. I remember I had this big huge book, which I remember on the cover it was basically a zebra's eye, huge. It was a huge book in terms of the size, not in terms of pages, yeah, but just the sheer size of it. It was huge, and basically the book was simply filled with just pictures of all kinds of animals. It felt like the entire planet worth of animals and their names. And you believe why would you buy that? That's an entertaining. Guess what? For me it was I just went through the pages and was looked at every single animal and their name. I found that lovely. I found that entertaining, and I also watched animal documentaries ever since I was a child. I literally had two documentaries. I think one is about in general in Africa, but mainly wild cats, lions and cheetahs, and I think one particular one was literally just about tigers. And whenever I was sick, those documentaries would hit. I would love to watch them. I also used to love watching these dinosaur documentaries that would sort of run after the regular program was over, on the more children's oriented channels. And yeah, even to this day, I still like to, when BBC gives me some cute animal clips, I'll take it. I'll gladly take it. I love cutesy little animals, and there are barely any animals that I don't like. One particular one being snakes, because I'm kind of scared of snakes. I don't like the fact that they don't have legs, but because it makes them unpredictable, I think. You can't if an animal has some sort of legs, even a spider, you can go for the legs for the movement, but with snakes, also eels, like, how am I supposed to tell how you're gonna move? Like, it's just so unpredictable and just not nice and uncomfortable. Like, I don't like certain snakes. Like, the ball python is okay, like, I can look at it, but especially those types of snakes which don't have much of a shape than just being a good long old sausage, I guess. I don't like it. But besides that, most animals I find really cute and enjoy them. And I remember whenever we went to the zoo, which I'm lucky to have probably one of the most beautiful zoos in the entire world, and a zoo that very much so cares about the well-being of its animals, because just this year when we went to Italy, we went to a zoo there, and needless to say, we were shocked and appalled by the way these animals were held. Like, it felt like they were literally put, like, the most insane, crazy, like, huge Nile crocodile in, like, a freaking Tupperware. I'm like, that's plastic. Like, it's literally like a plastic pool. And because where I'm from, they put in so much effort, like, that these animals have enough space and that they're able to, you know, have a place that they can hide in or go back in if they don't feel like being in front of people's faces. And yeah, so I always enjoyed going to those zoos. I got like kind of off track, but you know, it's still something important to mention. And basically, in general, but in my country, like, everything, like museums and stuff like that, is very, like, child friendly. So the zoo is also very child friendly, and they have little quizzes everywhere or interactive stuff, especially these days with technology and things. But I remember as a child there were like these question plates, or like where you basically can uncover them for like each animal, and I could answer every single question to the point where I, even now, like when I go there as a grown-up, I can still answer the questions. Like, that's how crazy it is. Like, I still remember things like, I don't know, how far can a tiger jump, or how high can who knows what jump, or how fast can a cheetah run. I don't even know. I think that rhymed. But anyway, I was obsessed with animals, and it's so crazy because even till this day, when it comes to animals, like, my knowledge is just so great. And I realize this in general, like, I have certain phases where I have like huge obsessions with certain things, and I get really knowledgeable, and then I remember these things probably until I die. Like, I also had like a Marvel phase, which I will talk about another day, because we could be sitting here all day talking about that. But yeah, I don't, you know, read as much about animals these days. Sure, once in a while, of course, BBC feeds me a cutesy little video clip, but I still remember so many things from years ago. Like, it's over like 10 or like 10 years minimum, and I still remember all these things, so that's crazy. And yeah, I guess there's still this like part of me, because, you know, as a child I was like, oh, I want to be like a zoologist, or I want to work at a zoo, or I want to be a vet, you know, working with animals. And whilst I don't necessarily, like, I would like to try it still, and sometimes I envy these people and like these BBC nature or whatever it's called, sort of, you know, I think, like, just imagining that you can be like right there with animals is such a lovely thought for me, and it's my dream. Like, one of like the, like, I've basically like made like, I guess the big three destinations, like travel destinations of mine, is number one is Japan. I would say number two, I guess, is already like Africa. Just well, Africa, yeah. Well, a whatever, like, is maybe like, I don't know, is it Kenya, or basically a part of Africa where you can do safaris of some kind, like just, you know, seeing animals in the wild. That is a big dream of mine. And then the third one would be New Zealand, simply because of Lord of the Rings, and because also the, you know, the nature is very beautiful there. And so I really, really, really want to see like animals in real life. What I have sort of like this conflict, like this dichotomy of when I see, you know, these like not really like a shelter, but you know, when these people take care of, I don't know, like little tiger cubs. I'm like, I wanted little tiger cub as a pet, but I know that it is a horrible thing to do. That, you know, they are wild animals and you shouldn't keep them as pets. But then I see these like videos when, you know, they take care of them to then release them into the wild. And I'm like, oh, but they're so cute. And sort of this dichotomy in my head, and after, you know, I don't have to remind myself, like, I know that I'm never going to do something like that. I'm never going to keep a wild animal because that's a horrible thing to do. They don't belong there. So, but a girl can be delusional, I guess, because I just love animals so much. But yeah, you can't do these things. And so now I've decided, you know, for example, for Christmas, literally for this Christmas, I wished, you know, as one of like my wish list was literally just feeding what are they called, katas, like, you know, like the King Julian type of lemur. And it was like, you know, there's basically also like kind of like a zoo, sort of. It's basically a zoo. It's not like the main zoo, but basically you can feed the katas there. You're not really allowed to touch them, but you know, you can feed them, again, because you're rather strict, which I think is totally okay and reasonable and good to do that. And it was basically on my Christmas wish list. Because I just, you know, it's a way to also get close with animals in a legal and safe way, in a safe environment. And also when I now look at this raccoon, I think there's also like a, not like a raccoon farm, but, you know, again, like a place where, you know, some like you can feed little raccoons, or in general maybe like also like these animal shelters, or is it like reservoirs or whatever you want to call it. I would really like to visit a place like this, but I really need to, you know, I need to do it like I do with these YouTube videos where I'm like, I want to do it, so I'm gonna do it and save up for it and finally commit to it, because, you know, you only have this one life. And it sounds corny, but the thing is, it really is like that, you know. You really should put focus on it, you know, what you want to do. And it doesn't necessarily have to be things like, oh, you know, achieve, and, you know, it can be multiple things. It can be what you want to achieve, but also what you find fun, or, you know, what are your priorities, what do you care about. And I really just want to, you know, travel, but also, you know, see these cute little animals and just experiences. I think that it is for me, like, the important thing that I've realized I really want in life is just experiences, instead of buying things or whatever. Or, for example, creating, like I'm doing right now. I'm creating a little drawing, but I'm also creating content. And even if nobody's watching, the fact that I'm doing it is what really makes me happy. And yeah, I think that, you know, that is like an important life lesson, especially now that I'm in my 20s. So yeah, this is the finished drawing. We went very off topic today again, but I hope you have a nice day, and until tomorrow.